I started Metropolis 10 years ago now as a runner, collecting people's Nandos and doing all the fun stuff. And then I did that for about a year, and then sort of progressed to being an assistant, and then from there ended up engineering, and then the chief engineering thing sort of came along because we didn't have anyone in that role, basically. The engineering side of it is the same as anyone else engineering. There's nothing different there. The chief engineering side is more looking after studios, sort of working out what equipment we need to invest in, making sure assistants know what's going on and that sort of thing. It was fairly organic for me. I did a degree in music technology at Hull University, which was a good foundation, but I don't think there's any degree can really prepare you for the real world. I think that not just in this industry, I think that's just in general in life. But so there was quite a big learning curve from learning sort of how a fully analog studio works, but more that the role of an assistant and the runner is more of a sort of more looking after people than it is the technical side of things a lot of the time. So there's that, and then the learning curve was quite organic though, because as an assistant I was learning from lots of different engineers and people from America and all the different clients from all over the place, learning from all these people. So it sort of helped with that, and then just the opportunity to engineer started to come up more often, and it was, again, you start learning on the job a little bit, but yeah, sort of just learned as I went along. The live vinyl sessions, we've been doing them actually for about 10 years, just over 10 years, so before I started, but it was the first thing I ever did as a sort of moving on from running to assisting. They needed extra pair of hands, so that was actually the first thing I started on as a runner, going into assisting, and then they've been going on the whole time I've been here, and now I'm engineering them. So it's been a nice process to come through that with it. Basically, it is what it says on the tin. We mix it and record it downstairs, and it comes up 2 cables into the mastering room and gets cut to vinyl. So it's an intense setup for it. We don't get a lot of time. Ideally, we'd have a whole day of preparation before to work out what was going on, but we generally get sort of a morning to sound check, and I sort of have to learn the songs and learn what's going to happen during the mix of it, which it stays fairly simple, but you still have to remember when someone's suddenly going to change guitar sound or any of those sort of things. So it's quite an intense day, the morning doing that, and then as the day goes on, we basically build a mix and then master and cut it to vinyl, and they generally have about 40 people, the last one, watching. There's quite a lot of pressure mixing with 40 people staring at you and knowing that whatever happens is what's going to be on there. Monitoring, we've got Genelec in every room. We've got a partnership with Genelec. We've had a relationship with Genelec since Metropolis opened. In fact, Lars, who works for Genelec, can remember coming and putting the original speakers in Studio A. So, we've had a relationship with Genelec for a long time, and there's other companies we've had those relationships with, but we're always open to working with new people. Austrian Audio recently sent us some microphones, which was great. We just reached out to them. Obviously, their heritage meant they were someone that we were very interested in working with. So I'm not tied to anyone specifically, but I'm trying to build those relationships with manufacturers so that we can get what we want from them, but also I think it's good for them to have the feedback from places like Metropolis and from the variety of clients that we have. When I first tried them, I don't think I was surprised, but they were sort of everything. They were what they've been built to be, and I thought they sounded great. And I have used them fairly extensively since we've got them, and they've been fairly popular with clients. But yeah, I think their heritage is something that drew me to them, and it was nice that the mic sounded up to that, if that makes sense. I've used the Austrian Audio mics quite a lot on drums as overheads and room mics, and but also on piano I found them to be great, really natural sounding. I think it's the top end's so smooth, it doesn't get too harsh on things. And yeah, I found them piano especially is they've been great on that. It's just sort of very natural sounding. Sounds quite like the piano in the room. You're not having to do too much to it afterwards. There's not a lot of EQ or anything required. Being able to put mics up that you trust and just have them ready to go and not having to keep swapping things and trying different things really helps. And I think the Austrian audio mics have been great for that, because every time I've put them up, clients have said, wow, they sound really good. In fact, I did a drum workshop this weekend with a guy called Joe Clegg, who is Ellie Goulding's drummer, and he's the musical director for her. And he was doing a drum workshop with Ableton, and they had 10 drummers, and they all came and asked, what are those mics on the overheads? They're all really into it, and they're all going to try them out and try and get hold of them. And I think that's what you need when you haven't got a lot of time. We had half an hour to sound check a drum kit, and you don't want to have to go, oh, those overheads aren't the right mics. When you don't have that time, it's great to be able to just chuck up something that you know is going to work straight away. I've used them since we got them pretty much every time I've had an excuse to use them.